My grocery store regularly has chicken legs or chicken hindquarters on sale for like 99 cents a pound. And I just can't pass it up when I see it. This package literally costs less than $4, and we've got 4 big pieces of chicken here. This is going to feed our family of 3, and then my wife and I will probably have leftovers the next day, all for $4. What a deal. And yeah, we're throwing away some bone and skin here, but there's quite a bit of meat on here for sure. And as you can see, a hindquarter is a thigh with the leg attached, and sometimes there's some excess skin or fat that needs to be trimmed off. It doesn't necessarily need to be trimmed off, but I like to do it just so I don't have a big puddle of grease in the pan at the end of the cooking process. So for barbecue in the oven, I kind of do it different a little bit every time. I don't really have a standard barbecue rub that I use. Today I'm just using seasoned salt on these chicken hindquarters. Just a standard seasoned salt. It's mostly salt and paprika and some garlic powder. That's what I would use if I didn't have this seasoned salt. Just salt, paprika, and garlic powder. But just to sprinkle that seasoning on both sides of the chicken. And here's the pan I'm going to use. This is a sheet pan that is lined with foil, and inside that pan I've got a rack. This is just a grilling rack that's from the camping section of the sporting goods store. And it just happens to fit perfectly inside these sheet pans that I have. The point of the rack is to keep the chicken elevated just a little bit, because all that fat from the skin is going to render and melt off. And I like to have it on a rack up above that stuff so it's not sitting in a puddle of grease. The rack is not required for this, but it's kind of nice. And to help that fat render, I'm going to take a knife and I'm just going to stab a bunch of little pokes in the skin all over this chicken. This will help the fat in the skin render more completely, and we'll end up with a nice crispy skin at the end. Those are going to go in a 400-degree oven, uncovered, and they're going to cook like that for an hour. I'm not going to touch them for an hour. And while that chicken's cooking, I'm going to get the beans ready. I'm using canned beans today, just making lazy beans. Dry beans are better, but canned beans are so quick and easy. My favorite bean to use for this kind of stuff is pinto beans. If you buy the baked beans that are pre-made in a can, those are made with navy beans, and they're a lot smaller and a lot mushier. And I like the pinto beans because they're larger and have a firmer texture than what you're going to get if you buy ready-made baked beans. And I don't rinse these beans, but I do drain off the majority of the liquid that's in the can. Not so much because I don't like the liquid, it's just that would make the beans a little too soupy. So I just drain off most of the liquid, not all of it. And just like the barbecue, I do the beans a little bit different every time too. Today I'm going to put some of these tomatoes with green chilies in. This is an easy add-in that's just open a can and dumping it in, and it adds a ton of flavor. Ideally, I would saute some bell pepper and onion and get those all caramelized and then put those in the beans. That's the best, but this is easy and it's very, very delicious as well. And to flavor the beans, I'm just going to add a small glug of ketchup, a smaller glug of mustard, a larger glug of barbecue sauce, a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, a tiny bit of salt, and a lot of pepper, a little bit of garlic powder and onion powder, and from time to time I like to add a little bit of cumin, just a tiny little bit, like that flavor in the beans. And I'm going to heat those beans up on medium-high heat until they start to bubble. Then I'm going to put the lid on and turn the burner way down to low, and those are just going to sit there and stew while the chicken cooks. It's an hour later, and here's the chicken. It's thoroughly cooked, the skin is crispy. That's the nice thing about dark meat chicken, is you can cook it for quite a while before it'll get dried out and tough, unlike white meat. I'm going to go ahead and add some barbecue sauce onto this chicken. I know what you're thinking, man, you just put some barbecue sauce on that crispy chicken skin and ruined it. And you know, you're not necessarily wrong, but this is the way my wife likes it, so this is the way I do it. So after spreading out that barbecue sauce into a thin layer, I'm going to put this chicken back into the oven just for 10 minutes, just to get that barbecue sauce warmed up and get it thickened up a little bit and turn into a nice glaze. And while that's happening, I'm going to pull the lid off the beans, give that a stir, and we're going to reduce these down. I know it looks real soupy right now, and it is, but over the next 10 minutes, that's going to reduce a lot, and you're going to end up with something like this. Nice, thick, baked beans. So 10 minutes later, here's the chicken. As you can see, that barbecue sauce kind of thickened up, made a nice glaze on those chicken pieces. And we're going to eat this with some homemade slaw. This is just shredded carrots and cabbage that I make myself. There's a video on my channel if you want to see exactly how I make that. And I'm going to top the slaw with my homemade mustard vinaigrette dressing. Also a video about that if you want to see how I make that. This is a plate that would probably cost you 20 bucks at a barbecue restaurant. You made it in about an hour for much less money, and you don't have to sit there for 20 minutes and wait for the check before you can leave. So, hope you found that useful. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. See you on the next one.